All right.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amy Counts. I am the MilNet ambassador for the state of Missouri. MilNet and Dawn teamed together today to discuss the transition back into the family, work, and life in general after being deployed. I know personally I've had hard times where wanted or unwanted life changes have come up that has required an extra focus and effort to reacclimate to new routines. So I learned a lot working with both Kishni and Moody in the preparation of this presentation. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit more from the Dawn ambassador, Kishni.
Hello, everyone. I am Kishni Carthen, and I'm a claims supervisor here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've actually been with Progressive about 6 years now, but prior to Progressive, I served in the Army for 7 years, during which I did experience two deployments, one to Iraq and one to Afghanistan. And I'm really excited today to be able to share, my insight, my vantage point about those experiences. And I'm really excited to have or to introduce to you Moody, who is the MilNet ambassador for Florida.
Thanks, Kishni. So my name is Moody. I represent the MilNet out of St. Petersburg, Florida. And I've been with Progressive for 6 years. So since 2000, well, 5 years going on, and 4 years going on 5, sorry. Since 2016, and December 19th will be my 5-year mark. Before that, from 2004 to 2008, I was in the United States Marine Corps. I was deployed to Iraq, and my second deployment was the Mediterranean, and in that general area. We were aboard a US Navy ship. And my job, I was infantry. I spent my last year training the newer Marines who were getting ready to deploy.
Very impressive. Thank you both. Kishni, can you talk a little bit more about one of the challenges you had returning home for either one of your deployments? And was the second return easier than the first?
Nice. So I'd say the biggest challenge was fully understanding that I was not in fight or flight mode once I returned. So, you do all the training, you do all the preparation to stay alert, stay alive, to make sure that you and all of your battle buddies that you are with go there in one piece and return in one piece. And so returning, it did take some time to kind of get used to, hey, there is not an immediate threat. Even from the moment we stepped off of the, airplane and we're in the airport and there's tons of people cheering us on and really welcoming us, it was still, very alarming and, caused a little bit of anxiety because of what we had been trained to do and to prepare for. So I'd say that was probably the biggest challenge transitioning. I can say that with the second deployment, it did seem a little bit easier because I was more prepared on what that reintegration looked like. And I felt like I was able to kind of assist those who, where this was their first deployment. So I was able to kind of take my experiences and how I adapted and the things that I did to try to like reintegrate, back into regular civilian life. I was able to kind of apply those and help other people that were in the same situation as me.
That's great. Moody, could you talk a little bit more about any of the difficulties you experienced adjusting, returning home?
Sure. Well, like Kishni, there was the anxiety. When we got back from Iraq, well, let me start at the beginning. So when we're flying back, we took a commercial flight from Ireland, from Kuwait, it was military to Ireland, and then from Ireland, they took away our firearms and they told us it's because we were getting on a commercial plane. So it didn't seem odd. It made sense to us. So we turned in our weapons, and then when we got off the commercial flight, we got flown into Cherry Point and then bussed into our base in North Carolina. And upon arrival, all the families are there. Everyone's cheering. Everyone's got their welcome back home posters. and not having my weapon, which has been kind of at my side, whether I was in the bathroom or the showers, or whether I was going to the store or chow hall, not having it at my side and being surrounded by hundreds of people was entirely overwhelming. And at the time, I didn't understand what was going on. I remember I had shortness of breath. I felt overwhelmed. I felt anxious. I felt weird because I didn't know how to explain it, but I felt unsafe. And then I understood in retrospect later why they took away our weapons. But what I was experiencing was a panic attack. And I didn't recognize, for the last 7 months, I was with the same guys. We always had protection. So it was weird and discomforting coming back and just kind of being shoved right back uh, into this, to a normal lifestyle. People there to love you and take, family. But I had a panic attack, and I took a seat, tried to catch my breath, and calm down. Didn't know what was going on, and I suppressed it. And I kept it quiet because I didn't want, Marines, we don't expose our weaknesses. We don't talk about these things. I didn't tell anybody I was going through it. And it wasn't until much later that I spoke with other guys who shared the same feelings. And they said, yeah, no, the same thing happened to me. I had a panic attack, a little bit of anxiety. But mental health isn't something that we discuss in the military. And um, that's something that I think is very important, especially with folks that have been where you've been and have done what you've done. It's good to have that communication so that you realize it's not just you, it's other people, and normalize it. I think that's the most important thing. I think we should normalize discussing and sharing mental health and talking about it to help with this, especially with the recovery, because first step is to identify it. But that was definitely one of the big obstacles I had to endure.
It's definitely a different point of view than a civilian like myself could imagine that you guys are all going through. So thank you. Kishni, could you discuss the similarities from your military experience compared to your current experience here at Progressive?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, it is the structure that we have here at Progressive and the camaraderie that they embed from day one. The fact that I'm able to, sit here and actually do this video and be a part of something that supports so many people across the company is amazing. And I know for the military, they do try to provide resources to allow, those that are not serving to be pillars of support for those who are. Um, I actually, early on in my military career, was able to experience the full support, that Progressive really stands by, because I was actually on the other side of the fence. So when I started my military or my Progressive journey, I was now a spouse and a new mother, and my husband at the time was deployed, and so I had to shift gears, and be that pillar of support to someone that was returning home. And one of the things that really stood out was how flexible and how understanding Progressive was, when it came to the type of support that I needed to provide to my husband. So that was extremely grounding, and it stood out to me, spoke volumes about this company, but also allowed me to fully provide the support that my family needed at that time. So that sense of structure, that sense of support, that the camaraderie that they produce. Hey, we welcome all types of people. We support you in all walks of life. Those are things that really stand out and have helped me continue on this journey of transitioning.
That's wonderful. Moody, could you share a little bit about your return and how it impacted your return to the workforce?
Sure. Well, getting out of the military, one of the things, one of the skill sets that I think is really important is the discipline, um, setting up metrics for yourself, personal metrics, and so you have higher standards. And so one of the difficulties I faced was, and we discussed this earlier, um, is having high standards not only for yourself but for those around you and your peers. And the civilian workforce is very different. So that's one of the difficulties that most veterans face is reacclimating to the civilian workforce, which takes a more laid back approach, is more casual, it is less hostile, which is good. because the military is very hostile. But with that, the standards aren't as high, and because it's got a more diverse, there's a more accepting mindset where we understand that not everyone's going to perform at the same level, and we accept everybody for that. And that was hard for me to adjust because I wanted to push everybody. I'm a pusher. I like to get everybody to the levels I think that we can achieve. And that's what it is. It's not necessarily the levels that we're at, but this is the level I think that we have the potential to achieve, and this is where I want to get everybody. And that is what I find still to this day. I find difficulty trying to say, chill out. It's okay. As long as we're making progress, we're good to go. And to kind of to make the expectations, I guess, more appropriate, for what we're doing. It's not the same job, so it's not life or death like it is in the military. So we don't need to have such high requirements. Not everyone has to memorize every detail, and so that's one of the difficulties I still face. And across the board, I see the same consistent difficulty with most veterans is that they have adjustment issues with that, setting the right standards and goals.
Okay. This question is kind of for both of you guys, but what advice would you have for someone that is struggling while they try to adjust back into the workforce or their home life? What advice and direction could you maybe give them?
So I'll start, Moody. I know with Progressive, we have a host of resources available on the highway. One of the big ones that really stands out is the Employee Assistance Program resource line. We have people available. Progressive has the program set up where people are available 24/7, and you can contact them via telephone, video chat, online, and they even have a text option if you want to remain, entirely anonymous. But it's just a resource, it's an outlet, regardless of what you're going through or what you may need assistance with or need assistance understanding. It is someone that is available there to you. We also have these amazing employee resource groups where I know I've personally found solace in reaching out to other like MillNet members. So, we can go back and forth and share stories. And that's a sense of therapy for those of us who are still, acclimating to civilian life. And so I know for Progressive, we have plenty of outlets and resources available. Just check out the highway, they're available.
And then I would say, like, if we're looking for resources, give me a moment. So if if it's not within Progressive, because Progressive does have great resources available for employees, but if you have a vet or a vet that's struggling, there's of course the Veteran Crisis Line. And so the phone number for that is 1-800-273-8255. You can press 1 to speak to somebody, or you could even text at 838255. Again, the phone number is 1-800-273-8255, and then you're going to press 1, or you can text at 838255. You could also find resources online at ptsd.va.gov/gethelp. And that's a resource that will allow you to help find a local therapist. And the VA does provide mental health assistance for free. So that's definitely a resource I recommend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Based on both of your experiences, what advice could you give civilians that have friends or family members that are in the process of reacclimating back into the workforce?
I'll let you come, Woody.
Thanks. Well, Kishni touched up on ERGs. I think ERGs are phenomenal because it provides you with a network. I mean, all of us are in different states, and we've got to connect and get to know each other. We've through this whole project, we've got to learn about each other, and Kishni and I have found a lot of things that we shared in common. So I think networking is important. Earlier, I touched on connecting and normalizing communication with each other, especially about mental health. And ERGs really do provide a nice platform for that. There's also local groups in your areas that are specific for veterans. I know there's a national group called Irreverent Warriors, and they do these hikes. And what they do is they are promoting and talking about veteran suicide. And so that's a great group for veterans of all different branches to kind of get together, hang out, network. It's actually how I've met several other progressive employees.
Nice. And
Yeah.
just to piggyback off that, so I know when I returned, my family was kind of like, "Hey, we want to be there, but they don't know how." Um, and so I felt like, the best way to kind of address it is like Moody said, communicate. So just ask, ask what, what works best. Like, do you want to talk about it? Do you not? Ask those questions to with the understanding that patience is needed. Um, allow people to kind of come around in their own time, but still, make it known that, hey, I'm here. If you want to chat, if you want to call me at 1 a.m. in the morning, if you just want to go hang out and talk about nothing military related at all, I think opening that door and opening that line of communication that you're there for them, and that you understand, hey, there might be things that you cannot talk about to me, so you just let me know what you want to talk about. I think understanding or making sure that you provide and you're clear with the type of support that you're able to offer usually goes a long way.
100% agree. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I know I personally have not served, but I am so honored to have worked with both of you guys, Kishni and Moody. In this presentation, I have gotten to know you guys. I really think I could sit around and listen to your stories for hours. I just love it. It really the experience has profoundly impacted me. So thank you guys for your service and for sharing your experiences with me over the past few months and with everyone today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Amy.